Rocking out, rocking out on Drumming Injury Talk with PT Janice Ying, who only works with musicians when it comes to physical therapy. So what we do is we always focus on a specific thing. Today it's nerves and the nervous system, nerve damage. But if any of you out there have questions for Janice, because I would just make up answers about bursitis, tendonitis, carpal tunnel, any other kind of repetitive motion injury or injury from playing drums or any other instrument, chime in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. But Janice, I'm looking forward to this episode because I know that nerve damage can occur as a drummer for a few different reasons. And one of them I think people take for granted, and that's heavy impact and that shock wave that just goes.
Yeah.
And that can be avoided even if you're a heavy hitter.
It can, yeah. So vibration is one of those things that can inhibit nerve transmission. But then if you have a lot of, or like prolonged exposure to vibration, and that's like drummers for sure. But then if you think about like factory workers or people who operate like, those impact hammers or like jackhammers, those kind of things, like those people actually have to wear special gloves in order to absorb the shock so it doesn't go into like as deeply into the tissues.
You know what? It's so interesting you mentioned that, because the first question I had in my head was there are, excuse me, a fair amount of drummers who wear gloves for grip purposes. Some drummers, maybe they sweat more. Does that help with that as well for drummers?
It could, and I mean it depends on like the kind of glove and what its intention is for. But like I know a lot of drummers, like they wear it because like maybe their hands sweat a lot, so they need to like kind of keep the grip. Right. Wearing some kind of gloves definitely in most forms, unless you're wearing those like exam gloves that probably won't do that much for you. Right. But any kind of like fabric. That's weird. I appreciate you getting into the mode of talking about medical.
I'm trying to remember why there's one right here, but there is.
Random. But yeah, I mean, there's different gloves that you can wear. The ones that like the really heavy duty like machinery, those are like really thick, like chunky gloves.
And
so
it probably wouldn't be appropriate for holding.
Probably wouldn't. Yeah, it definitely wouldn't be appropriate because drummers need so much dexterity. It's not like you're just like if you taped it to your hand and you just like went like that. But yeah, like some kind of glove would definitely decrease the amount of vibration. So it just depends on how far someone wants to take it. You could potentially, you probably would be more familiar with this than me. But there's probably different materials of like sticks that someone could use. Like different woods would have different like kind of densities, or like if they have like plastic or like kind of like a plastic core or something to like absorb the vibration a little bit.
I use synthetic sticks actually.
Yeah. So if someone were kind of concerned about the impact it has on nerves, or if they have some kind of nerve condition like carpal tunnel or cubital tunnel, where it's kind of been shown that they have some kind of nerve damage in this area, maybe trying to figure out what sticks would be the best, maybe to kind of offload or take away some of that vibration so you don't have as much going through the system, especially if you play a lot. Right. But it takes a lot of playing to have these kind of like long-term chronic issues. But drummers, depending on how much people practice and stuff, or how much their playing load is in general, like that can add up over time for sure.
How they hold the stick.
How they hold the stick. Yeah, if they death grip it, like if they tend to hold it, that's not going to allow for like all of that's going to be transmitted through the tissues, rather than if you have some recoil and like the force gets kind of like bounced around in other areas, that can impact it as well. So there's like so many different factors. But definitely there are options, either gloves or like the material of the stick itself.
That's interesting. Do you
even
see
the gum head too? But that's like a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, I was going to ask
how tight you have it. Mm-hmm.
Do you see people from drum corps because they're they're playing on a snare drummer.
Kevlar drum head. Yeah. I don't see as many. That's not my wheelhouse. But I know other PTs who do. And I'd have to ask them like what they've seen. Because I mean it's literally Kevlar. So
yeah, like a tabletop.
Yeah, so I don't really know I don't know if there's been any studies that have been done looking at the amount of vibration on different drum heads, materials. I think that would be actually really interesting. I wonder if Nadia has ever done that.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. Maybe I'll ask her.
interesting. Can you show us what happens to nerves when they get damaged from different things, whether it's from the vibration or where on the body it typically shows up more?
Well, it can show up anywhere because like we literally have nerves everywhere, right? Let me see if I can find a good image.
If it's from hitting too hard and whatnot, would it be more in the fingers, palms, wrists, or forearms, or is it just?
It probably would be in like the hand, like kind of wherever, like the epicenter would probably be like where you're in contact with the stick. So, and I don't know this 100%, but my best guess would be probably like if you're holding like what is match grip, right? So probably like here and like here would be like kind of like the biggest impact, and then through the rest of your arm it would probably be less likely the further up you go, because like the vibration kind of gets dissipated throughout the rest of the tissues the further away you are from it. So I would probably imagine that would be kind of where that typically happens. I'm trying to find a good here. Let me see. Let me share. These are just like random websites. I haven't really like taken a close look at it, but let me share a different screen.
Okay. And I see Robson Myler says, hi, a Brazilian in Lisbon on the run from, just kidding about the on the run part. And Norma Gonzalez, Norwalk, California, SoCal, not far from where I grew up in the Sacramento Valley, and you're not far from there either.
Yeah. All right. So something like this, I don't know what condition this particular person has, but this would be kind of like an external manifestation of some kind of like nerve, like vibration on nerves.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like super interesting, right? Nerve vibration. And then let me see if I can find like a kind of like a cartoon or like a image on like, let me see if this one is good. Hang on, sorry. This is a great question. I just wasn't prepared for it.
That's okay, really sorry.
Great question. No, it's totally fine. Okay, here we go. Here, let me
chime in, folks, if you experience anything like that.
Yeah.
I have only once. You remember on the last show, I mentioned I had done a gig, like I sat in, jammed with someone for like an hour, and I got a pain here that I had never had before.
Oh, huh.
And I don't particularly grip the sticks crazy, and I use synthetic sticks.
So talking about that.
It might have just been a case of being 62 years old. I don't know.
All right. Well, I don't have a great image. Sorry. Well, basically what happens is that the tissue of the nerves, I believe if I remember back to when I was learning about this stuff over a decade ago, there's actually like damage to like the neural sheath. So you have this like covering of the nerve that actually helps with like it helps increase how quickly a signal can get down from one end to the nerve to the other. And so there can be nerve damage to either the nerve itself or like that covering. So if it's not going down quite as quickly, then the signal isn't going to be quite as strong. I'm sure there's a much more eloquent way of saying that, but that's kind of like the general nuts and bolts of it. Yeah. So when we talk about nerves in general, there's a couple of different ways that a nerve can get damaged. So vibration is definitely one of them. Another method would be if there's some kind of compression on the nerve. And so most commonly we're thinking about like carpal tunnel syndrome or cubital tunnel syndrome or sciatica in certain contexts. And that's probably the most common mechanism that nerves can get damaged or irritated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a nerve can get irritated without kind of long-term damage. It could just be like inflamed and pissed off,
Is
basically.
is that what a pinched nerve is? Basically, like in the neck when people refer
Yeah.
to
So
that
if
from
there's some kind of
tension.
compression, that's basically what. Well, pinched nerve is kind of like your umbrella term for like some kind of nerve-related pain or
Yeah.
discomfort or symptom. And so it could be from a compression, like a lot of times in the spine, so like the neck or the low back. It is where that nerve is kind of get that hole where the nerve is coming out from the spine is like narrow, and so it gets
Mm.
squeezed and then it gets compressed, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like where you're talking about something like carpal tunnel syndrome, I can show you actually if you want to pop up
Sure.
the
Let's put this up.
anatomy thing. Cool. All right. So actually, I have the wrong thing up. Let's see if I can find this. Whoa. Okay. So I think we talked about carpal tunnel before in the past, but
We did once.
in case people need a refresher or did or missed that one. So when we're talking about carpal tunnel
It's
syndrome,
common, so yeah.
which is really common, right? So we're really talking about, oops, sorry, come back. Okay, we're really talking about a compression of this particular nerve, the median nerve. And so it's a nerve that starts all the way up. You can kind of follow the pink all the way up, and it starts all the way up here in like kind of the armpit area is actually how far up it goes. And
Mm.
it goes down the arm. There's a pathway, it travels down, you can see it, and then it goes under these muscles of the forearm. And then it goes through this area here. So there's this band that goes across, and the purpose of the band is to keep all of these tendons from our forearm as they go into our fingers
Mhm.
kind of flush against the wrist. Otherwise, if it's not there, whenever we curl our fingers, the tendons would kind of like bowstring
Oh,
out, right? And so you actually
interesting.
have this like thick band here to kind of keep everything like it's almost like a pulley in a sense,
Yeah.
right? And so it keeps it kind of intact. So it actually helps with the efficiency of our grip strength. But our median nerve also travels underneath through this tunnel. So you can see,
Yeah.
oh God, sorry,
Under the band.
under the band. So you have nine tendons and then this nerve, or sorry, you have 8 tendons and this nerve that all fit within this tunnel. And really like the circumference or like the diameter of this, or let's say circumference of this tunnel is probably like, if you looked at your thumb straight down at you, it's
Yeah.
probably that thick.
Oh,
So it's a
okay.
really small area, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes people will have tendonitis in those tendons as they're going through this area. It's also really common in people who are pregnant, women who are pregnant, because there can
Oh,
be a lot of like fluid accumulation just like throughout the body. But like because this is a closed system, right? There's only so much
right. There's
for the
nowhere for it to
fluid to go.
expand.
Is really not much space for it to kind of dissipate to, and so there ends up being more and more compression on the nerve, which then the nerve hates having compression go through it because it can slow down circulation, and it also just irritates the nerve. It can cause more inflammation, and so then people who have carpal tunnel syndrome will have numbness, tingling, or pain in the thumb on the palm side, the index finger, the middle finger, and the inner half of their ring finger. That's kind of the distribution of that nerve.
Mm.
Every nerve in the body, every individual nerve in the body has its own map of where someone would potentially feel some kind of symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel it on the other fingers, like your pinky and the other half of your ring finger, that's not carpal tunnel. That's actually your ulnar nerve that goes on the inside of your inside of your elbow. So that's why a lot of people always ask, they come in, they're like, oh, I have carpal tunnel syndrome. I was like, okay, well, where are your symptoms? Like, and then so they start describing, and it's not really matching the pattern of what the median nerve would, typically present as. And I was like, okay, well, that's helpful to me because then I can kind of troubleshoot and kind of figure out maybe where else that nerve, what other nerve could be causing those symptoms.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's
Same thing with like the rest of your body, like your legs, your sciatic nerve, or like other nerves have different maps. Like
nice. I see Pat Vogel Rivera's chiming in on Facebook Live from Lucerne Valley, California. High Desert SoCal. More SoCal people. There's a bunch of us here. Even though I'm not there now. I have what I believe, if it's possible, a permanent injury to my ulnar nerve, where that's what your funny bone nerve is, folks. And
it is.
I believe it's a permanent injury because this happened when I was 18. And if I get slightly bumped there, I have that lightning go through my arm. It doesn't take much at all. It's like so sensitive. It's ridiculous. But my elbow came down on a burner of a stove.
Oh, no.
Like, really hard. Yeah. It was miserable.
Do you know why it's called the funny bone? You might know this because I think we've talked about this before.
Let's see who guesses. Don't look it up. But while people are guessing, oh, okay. Steve, go ahead and you know what to do. I don't know if anyone will guess it without looking it up. What is it? Go ahead and tell us.
Oh, because the bone that it travels through is the humerus. It's the humerus bone. This long one here. Yep.
But it's not funny.
It's not funny when you get hit there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I think it got, like, what does that mean? Maybe the nerve got permanently bruised or something.
Bruised, or I mean, here, let's go.
It just seems to be so sensitive.
Bone. So if we zoom in, I'm gonna spin it around. Boom. So we're talking about this nerve, the ulnar nerve.
That one susceptible spot right there.
Well, it's actually really superficial, and there's nothing really to protect it.
Wow.
Right. And so if you're looking at this and like you imagine you're bending your elbow, it's like the most exposed. And so you do have like skin, and you do have like a bursa. Are you familiar with what a bursa is? Or so a bursa, basically what it is if you imagine like if you took like a unblown up balloon or uninflated balloon and you put some water in there and you like tied it up, it becomes like a little like pad, like a little shock absorber pad. And so you have them like all over your body, typically areas where you have the most amount of stress. So you have these kind of like fluid filled sacs kind of padding this area. And really that's like the main protection you have of this window here, because you can see this is your triceps up here.
Right.
And then this is like one of your wrist, your finger flexors here.
Mm-hmm.
And so really they go through, this nerve kind of travels through a very, very open window, which is why it's kind of more susceptible to getting banged and having a lot of discomfort.
Gosh, can you imagine if we had a lot of nerves that did that every time we bumped into
something? That would be awful. But that's why we have so much, I mean, there's many reasons, but that's why we have so much padding, like in very strategic areas. We've adapted in amazing ways.
Interesting. What is, going back to carpal tunnel, what's the quote treatment / remedy for that?
There's a lot. I mean, time is one of them. Probably the most impactful would be to try and troubleshoot what got someone there in the first place, right? Okay. And so usually carpal tunnel syndrome occurs, unless we're talking about someone who's pregnant, that's kind of like a physiologic thing that, once you have the baby, all those hormones kind of go back to normal, and then you hopefully won't have all the swelling in your hands and your feet as much anymore.
Right.
But most of the time, carpal tunnel will come about with some kind of repetitive type of motion. And so trying to figure out, okay, how did this person get there in the first place? So maybe it's drumming. And so maybe they're doing something with like their setup or something with their technique wise. And I'm not usually one to comment on technique. I don't, unless there's something like really funky and like out of ordinary. Like I try to like point stuff out, but I'm like, I'm not the expert drummer in this situation, but this is what I see. Like I see that this could be contributing to it. Or like if someone's playing too low or even too high, but usually too low, they're gonna have to like cock up their wrists to hit the drum. So that could put stress on it as well. Any kind of like gripping. So if they do some kind of like manual job, or even like if they type on a computer, or they have a really poorly fitting mouse and they mouse all day, or if they produce, right, they're clicking and all day long too. So trying to find ways to kind of take that workload off is probably the most impactful thing, because we can address the inflammation, we can address the swelling, that's fine. But if they go back to doing things the same way that they were before, that got them there in the first place, we're just going to be kind of like banging our heads against the wall.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So a lot of that is kind of zooming out a little bit and being like, okay, like we have this issue, your body's reacting a certain way, but like, how do we make sure that when you go back to doing the things full throttle, that we don't end up back here again? Because as much as I love business, I don't want repeat customers like all day, right?
It's the same thing,
for the same issue. Like I'll see you for your arm and then your knee and then your foot and your neck. Like that's fine. Like come on in, like no problem.
It's a healthy relationship, no pun intended.
Yeah, but I don't want to see you for the same issue, because that means that one of us isn't doing our job. It's either me or the person isn't doing what I suggested that they do, and then you know that's also
sloughing good. Off.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
So yeah.
Cool.
All right, what else do you want to see?
Yeah, well, there you go, folks. There's some stuff that can go on for drummers with the nervous system. Good refresh on carpal tunnel. We always
talked
are
about
reminded.
sciatica a while ago too.
Not that long ago, but yeah, we did.
Yeah. Did you want to take a look at that too?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Let me pull up.
Because that is painful.
Saves me a lot of time, like having all these like pre-saved things. So the sciatic nerve is comprised of a bunch of different nerve roots. So if we take a closer look here, this is kind of what I'm talking about, like the nerve root here. Coming out from like this hole through in between the segments of the spine. And every level of the spine you have this. We're just looking at the low back in particular. And so almost all the nerves really have a combination of different nerve roots as they come through, and they join together to make bigger nerves, right? So we're talking about the sciatic nerve. It is a chunky nerve. It is the biggest nerve in the body outside of the spinal cord.
And it will remind you of that from time to time.
Right. And the sciatic nerve is largely responsible for kind of most of the sensation and motor function and pain down the back of your leg. So kind of like your butt through like the back of your thigh and foot and calf. Because what happens is like the sciatic nerve it really ends kind of like right behind your knee, but then it splits into smaller nerves that go through. So if there's a problem with the sciatic nerve, chances are there could also be issues further down the leg as well. It's different than the upper portion of your body, like in your arm and stuff. Usually those are like, you don't have a major nerve like that has such a significant branch. So yeah, the sciatic nerve can get pinched. Sometimes it can get pinched here behind the piriformis muscle. it's a really deep muscle. So I've peeled away the big glute muscle.
Yeah.
So this is a little one layer deeper. So this muscle here, you can see the piriformis kind of sits underneath. If we look from it from the front, you can kind of see it here. It's kind of sandwiched between your pelvic bone and that muscle here. So if that muscle's tight, so if you have tight hips, for example, if you're putting tension on that muscle, like if you're bending your knee upwards towards your chest or something like that, then that could put more tension on the muscle, and then that could put more compression on the nerve. It can get stuck sometimes as it's going through the hamstring area. And it's common. I will say, this is one thing I'll say about the sciatic nerve. A lot of people do like a hamstring stretch. If you stick your leg out straight with your knees straight, and then you bend forward at the waist. A lot of people should like feel a stretch down the back of their thigh. Or if you like stand up and then you bend forward, touch your toes, people might feel like a stretch in the back of their thigh.
Right.
If they feel it anywhere beyond their knee, and they feel it into like their calf, or they feel it into their feet, then what they're feeling is not the hamstring stretch. You're actually stretching the nerve itself.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah. And so nerves also hate to be stretched. We talked about compression. Now we're talking about stretch. So nerves also hate to be stretched. So a lot of times it can get irritated through just that tension as well. So that's a really common thing that I see. People are like, oh, I'm so tight, I just do a hamstring stretch, to try and alleviate it, but it makes my pain worse, or it makes my hamstring pain worse. Sometimes it can be from the nerve itself, not the actual hamstring muscle.
Right. Here's a comment that goes back to the bursa. This is from Graham Bates. Thanks for watching. Thanks for chiming in, watching live on Facebook. He says he's from the UK. I burst my right bursa years ago, but right now my middle finger hurts badly. Doc said, I had like 8 jokes go through my head. Sorry. Doc says I've strained its tendons and it will get better, but it's been many weeks.
So my question would be like, which bursa? Sorry, it was a bursa that got.
Yeah, because your bursa is all over, right?
Yeah, there's many different bursas. So you could have one in your hand, you could have one here, you have a bunch in your shoulder. So I think it would depend on like which bursas we're really talking about.
And if those are related, that bursa injury from
it could be that they have some kind of like bursitis somewhere else, but maybe wouldn't impact what's going on in the middle finger. So usually if we're talking about, some kind of like tendonitis anywhere, really.
He's saying that the bursa was years ago.
Got it. Yeah.
Sorry.
But sorry. But yeah, so I mean, anytime we're talking about like tendonitis in anything. So tendonitis is basically just inflammation of the tendon. So you have tendons, every muscle has tendons on both ends. So where it attaches and then at the end. And so either ends of those could have tendonitis or both. So anytime we're talking about inflammation of the tendon, typically we're thinking about, okay, when it first happens, like that first initial phase where you probably need to take things maybe a little easier would be like the first week or so. And then your body will continue going through kind of like this remodeling or reconstructive phase where it's trying to heal itself over the next up to 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how severe the injury is in the first place.
Interesting.
Now, and that's assuming, not to say that you need to stop playing or you need to stop whatever activity. Like it is good to keep doing things, but what you don't want to do is kind of keep re-aggravating the injury, because what that does is it's kind of like if you pick a scab on a scratch and then the scab opens back up, you have to wait for that to scab over and make a new scab. And then if you pick that again, you're kind of reopening that,
prolonging the whole process.
You're kind of prolonging it. So I think a lot of it is just kind of trying to figure out what you can get away with without kind of making it angry again, or kind of keeping it at under a certain threshold to allow your body to have some time to heal up.
Interesting. So Graham, I'm curious, if you're a drummer and if that middle finger strain tendon injury is from drumming, or if you just give people that finger too vehemently, maybe, or something. But we hope you feel better. And thanks again for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. Any other questions, folks? If not,
Oops.
we'll wrap it up. And you can always ask questions on the archive as well. And we'll relay those to Janice. So, Janice, where can people get a hold of you if they want to see you in person in Los Angeles or do some Zoom therapy with you or consultation?
Yeah. So they can. So I'm based in Los Angeles, like you said. I can
drumming.
be reached. Yeah.
Thanks, Grant. Yep, based in
They
LA.
So I'm in LA. I can be reached on Instagram at opus_PT, or you can find me online at opuspt.com, or you can just shoot me an email at janice@opuspt.com.
Cool. And folks, she's tagged as well in the posts wherever you see this. So if you want to get with someone who really knows their stuff and works with musicians, and if you're not a musician, I'm sure Janice can help you as well. Janice, thanks for taking time again. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, always fun. Always some great questions.
I can't believe I'm going to say this month, but we will be back in September, folks. I can't believe it's going to be September.
That's crazy. Right. That's right.
And we'll advertise ahead of time what the topic is. So watch for that, folks. And you could follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, and Vimeo, and TikTok, and drumtalktv.com, and our membership site, which you can join for free, drumtalktvbrilliant.com. So plenty of fun away from all the other stuff going on out there. And we hope we've been helpful today. Well, hope at least Janice has been helpful. I'm just kind of like here. Thanks, Janice. Thanks, everyone.
All right. See you next month.